Hey, what's up? DeFi Dan, XRP Chad, whatever you want to call me. I got some awesome updates for you guys today. We got some major Bitcoin updates. We got some major XRP Ripple lawsuit updates. To go in with that, I also have some major Flare and Songbird updates. Again, like I told you in the last video, Ripple funded Flare and Songbird essentially. So if you are a Ripple believer, you need to be paying attention to Flare and Songbird 100%. This is fourth generation blockchain. This is absolutely top tier stuff, right? Lastly, we're going to be talking about Quant and the major increases that are about to happen to the Quant price as long as these things play out is what I'm about to tell you. Major shout out to Mickey B. Fresh and Patty XRP for all of their hard work with the Flare, Spark Token, Songbird, educational content and knowledge that they've gained and spread. It's absolutely top tier stuff. Really happy I paid attention and watched these guys. It's very technical stuff, so I'm here to break it down a little bit simpler for you guys. And lastly, thank you to Crypto God John and Farmer Hells. Without them, I wouldn't have pulled the trigger on Quant. I knew about it through the XRP ecosystem, but I didn't want to leave the XRP army. I used to be very committed. But I pulled a little bit back to get into Quant, and I'm really glad I did. And Quant has some major upcoming things. So, I just want to help you guys out. It's one of my goals and my missions to help people basically decrease the wealth gap, right? I think that at this point now, the wealth gap has gotten way too high. I think that it's my job and my mission to help people who come from my background, medium or not even or below medium, right? To get to well done, essentially, right? So let me not even wait anymore. Let's get right into it. All right, so first off, for Bitcoin, the president of El Salvador has been saying that they got over 1.1 million people on the Chivo app. Chivo is the Bitcoin app in El Salvador. Chivo means cool in their slang, right? Cringy, but whatever. So essentially, I checked the stats for the population of El Salvador. It's about 6 million people. So that means we're basically at about a 15%, 16% usage rate in that country. I'm hoping that the usage rate can go up to about 50%, to be honest with you, so about 3 million people. If we get 3 million people using it in El Salvador, using Bitcoin on their everyday transactions, or not even every day, if they're just buying and holding, I think that's a huge sign of things to come. And I think it's a huge booster of adoption in the other countries that are in the same economic demographic as El Salvador. So basically, like developing nations that don't have that much resources, nations that maybe lost a bunch of resources or resources were stolen from them. Don't want to go in there, but I think that they're going to be able to change the narrative here with crypto adoption, with Bitcoin adoption. Again, the better Bitcoin does, the better DeFi does. As the more money in the entire market capitalization, the better we all do. So something that we should all be paying attention to. Just so you guys know, if you're not aware, last thing I saw was that you can pay about 3 Bitcoin to basically be granted El Salvadorian citizenship. With that citizenship, you get a bunch of tax haven benefits. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are very interested in this. I mean, has to be whales out there who really don't want to pay taxes, and this would be a great way to avoid that. So, just be aware that that's happening in El Salvador. Ukraine just recently adopted, not as legal tender, but they adopted as like a basically you can use it for payments and stuff like that. They don't give it the same standing as their dollar, but it does have a legal standing there. Okay, next we're going to talk about Ripple. So I'm sure if you guys have been watching YouTube at all or on Twitter, you guys have been seeing stuff with Charles Gasparino from Fox Business News. He's a host on there. He stood up for Ripple and XRP. He's saying that Gary Gensler is picking and choosing winners. He's saying that they're stifling innovation and it's causing huge problems, right? At the end of the day, if the US isn't the leader in blockchain technology, right, it puts us at a major disadvantage, right? The US was one of the leaders in the internet boom, right? The US was one of the leaders in the mobile boom, right? The US needs to be one of the leaders in the crypto blockchain DLT boom. It's that simple. I'm American. I'm working out of Germany right now, but I'm American. I grew up here, so I have some allegiances to America, right? I'm sure a lot of you guys do too. And it's not just about XRP. It's not just about Ripple. It's about the fact that, and again, these are not my words, right? These are the words from Gavin Wood, the founder of Polkadot, who is obviously a genius, right? You can't build a crypto network without being a genius. I was reading an article recently about Vitalik Buterin back in the day, how a fellow tech coder guy basically called Vitalik a walking computer, right? I also feel like David Schwartz is a quote unquote walking computer, right? I would say Gilbert Viridian is also quote unquote a walking computer. These are the guys that I want to follow. I want to follow and invest in the projects that they are working on, right? That they are behind, because at the end of the day, the networks that they are building, right? Because at the end of the day, a decentralized network is good for everyone, right? The world doesn't need to be this way, right? The world doesn't need to be so unfair. There could be a bit more fairness in the world, right? And those people who end up adopting, who end up, helping build these networks and helping give these networks, helping by giving these networks the liquidity that they need to grow, right, will be handsomely rewarded. You've seen it. I'm mad I didn't get in this space 3 years ago, but I did a year ago, and thank God I did, right? So at the end of the day, a little over a year ago, actually. But yeah, at the end of the day, I think that this is something that you need to think about, just getting into projects that have serious founders and serious knowledge and serious money behind them, right? Also, serious transaction speed. I think that's another completely undervalued metric that people don't use. I think transaction speed is one of the most important metrics that you can use for measuring crypto. That's why FTM and Solana are pumping so hard right now, because they have major transaction speed, right? XRP has major transaction speed, right? It's listed as 1500. I think Miguel Valles was saying that it can go as far as 7,000 transactions per second, 70,000 transactions per second. Sorry about that. I think that that's something that people should be aware of. I think that they can basically push the clock even more, right? And again, that those transactions per second need to be on a layer 1, not a layer 2, in my opinion. I mean, layer 2s are great, but why? As in, like, why would you even use them if the layer 1 is sufficient already, if that makes sense? So without getting too deep into that, I just want to basically say that Ripple is now saying that they don't want a settlement with the SEC. They're going for the win, right? So I appreciate that. I obviously, Jeremy Hogan, the lawyer, is basically saying that a lawyer never says they're never admits to going for the settlement, because you would be admitting weakness. Lawyers are sharks. I don't know if you know, but you got to be a shark to be a good lawyer. And obviously, yeah, you can't show any weakness in that kind of field. Showing weakness can get you killed. We all know about this, So yeah, definitely should be aware of that, right? And lastly, regarding XRP and Ripple, the SongBird and Flare network, Ripple funded them. I talked about that in the last video. If you didn't know that, if you weren't aware that Ripple funded Flare and Spark, you should be, because at the end of the day, this is why it's such a viable coin and ecosystem, right? Personally, if I had to rank them, so like I rank XRP very high, right? It's as far as technological advancements made, and honestly, speed, use case, cost, it's amazing, right? I don't know about the transactions per second for Quant. I actually don't think Quant works like that. I think Quant is another technology where, this is God level or heaven level technology, right? If we were going to use anime references or One Punch Man's references, right? I think that Flare and Songbird, obviously, same thing. I think that these things are blockchain level 4s, right? Generation 4s. I told you guys in the last video, Generation 1, Generation 2, Generation 3 being Polkadot, Cardano, blah, 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 blah. Generation 4 being Flare, right? Now, if we're going to go even further, just so you guys get a quick little basis, after blockchain, there's DLTs, or DLT is like the I say, like the top of the tree or the root of the tree, the technology tree, right? And then blockchain is a branch, right? And there are other branches like Hedera Hashgraph, a DAG, which would be like basically DAG or Constellation. They just got the Air Force contract, right? Holochain also, I'm not invested, but I think that Holochain also has huge potential to be a crazy technology, right? So you can look past blockchains now at this point, right? Quant is going to be the overledger for all of those technologies that go, in that range above the blockchain generation 4s into the next DLT technologies that I was just talking about. Quant basically links them all, and the banks, the legacy systems behind that, right? I'll put the pictures on here again. I posted in the last video also, but I'll post it in here again so you guys can see it about why Quant is so important, right? Again, so with the SongBird and Flare, what's going on, right? SongBird is going live on the 27th, right? SongBird is the testnet for Flare. It is the Kusama to Polkadot, if that makes sense. They're going to build the ecosystems and test the ecosystems on SongBird first, apparently for 62 days, right? And then after that, hopefully within those 2 months after that, Flare will be launched, right? Flare is something called ExFi. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but ExFi is experimental finance. So right now, 99% of the world is in CeFi, right? Centralized finance, which means that you only rely on the money that the government tells you to use, that the government controls, and you only invest in the stocks that Wall Street controls, right? To give you guys a little bit of a heads up, I was an accredited investor last year. I understand that basically in order to become an accredited investor, right, you need to work hard. You need to trade your ass off. If you're not basically from that world, if you're not from that upper level world, in order to get to that world, you need to be sharp and you need to grind, right? It was not easy. It was not something that I have maintained. I've lost that status. I'm actually working on getting it back, but I've made a huge headway in making it back since leaving the stock market and coming to crypto. I think that it's really possible for a lot of you guys to do that also. And again, this is part of my mission here, right? I don't just make these YouTubes for money. I make these YouTubes to help people, and I make these YouTubes so I have a place to talk to people about cryptos and DLTs without always having to explain everything, right? Even if you're a beginner, if you come to my channel, one of my skills is that I will make you grow so fast as a student, much faster than a lot of these other YouTubers, right? A lot of these guys get really caught up in technical terms and jargon that's completely unnecessary. I believe in the Elon Musk model that jargon is completely useless unless it's needed, right? So what that means is if you can replace jargon with common sense terms, do it, right? Because then if you need to explain the jargon every single time, it's ridiculous. It jams up the entire process, right? So SongBird and Flare, there's basically 3 ways how you're going to make money on here, right? And again, shout out to Mickey B. Fresh and Patty XRP. These are highly technical guys. They really know what they're talking about. I'm just here to simplify some of the concepts that they've been teaching, and obviously add my own insight from what I've gained outside of them. But to be honest with you, it's them, Arthur Twiggs, he's a digital asset investor's dad, and a few other sources on YouTube, Crypto Airy, but there's really not that much info on Flare, so I'm going to provide some of it for you. Okay, so for SongBird, the reason why Flare and SongBird are so special again is because the token doesn't need to be on the network for governance, right? ADA, Polkadot, Ethereum 2.0, right? Basically, the richest people in the ecosystem get to decide everything, right? Stupid. Makes no sense, right? I mean, it's just the technological limit of those networks, right? That's why I'm so excited about Flare. That's why I would even go so far as to say that I might sell my Ethereum to buy into the SongBird network and to start basically earning rewards and yielding rewards from the farming, from the staking, and from delegating my votes. I'll get into that right now, right? Because basically you can do 2 or 3 at the same time, right? And that's why Flare and SongBird are going to be so special, right? If you can basically stake, loan, yield farm, and provide governance votes with the same token, right? So four methods of generating revenue, right? With one network. I think that alone should make everybody excited about this as I am. So basically, the first thing you would want to do with SongBird is you would want to delegate the votes, right? Now, it's not like the traditional staking. There's no risk to you, which is amazing, right? So basically, if you don't want to spend your time and your brain power learning about the Flare ecosystem, you can delegate your votes to a validator on that network, and then that validator will pay you out in SongBird tokens, right? This system basically grows as as the adopters increase, right? The revenue percentage goes down. So you make more money getting in early. So again, it goes live on the 27th. You need to be on the Descent wallet or the Bifrost wallet. You can't be on Ledger. You could possibly do it on MetaMask, but I don't think that's the way to go. I think that you should definitely go on Bifrost or Descent because you can do it directly within the app, right? The next way you can basically make some money on there or make some Songbird on there is by providing a liquidity pool between either Songbird and their stablecoin. It's called the Canary Dollar, or this Candy. Basically, CAND is the stablecoin value, or the stablecoin ticker, right? You can also do loans on there. So you could basically collateralize a loan for 110% and then take a loan out against that, right? And as long as you keep that collateral rate at 110%, you'll get paid out in Songbird and in CND stablecoin for the liquidity that you're providing into the system, right? You can also yield farm on there, and it can actually be on its own. So you could actually yield farm. Basically, that's essentially staking. You can essentially yield farm or stake the coin onto the Songbird network and just leave it there on its own, or you could basically make it a pair, which obviously then you have to deal with the impertinent loss and stuff like that, and basically potentially losing money, but for more interest in a sense. You know, you can some of these methods you can be gaining DFlare on there, right? And basically, when the Flare network goes live, right, you're gonna want to you would basically be able to switch that DFlare into YFlare, right? There's DFlare, YFlare, and YFin, right? And from what my sources tell me, the Variable Bull, Jordan Harry, and my other XRP community members, they're basically saying that you need to get in early, right? Because again, F assets are smart contract capable coins, right? So if they're smart contract capable, at the end of the day, they're worth more, right? If Ethereum, if you could buy an NFT with Ethereum, right, but not have to pay the gas fees, everyone would do it, right? If you could use Doge to for like a NFT store that would run itself, right? Like you imagine you had like a Shiba Inu like NFT, right? Or NFT marketplace based off Shiba Inus, right? If you had Doge as an F asset, you could run an entire store, right? With smart contracts, running everything, payments, uh, receiving cash, right? Burning NFTs, gaining interest on, or basically lending NFTs, yield farming NFTs, right? All through the Doge ecosystem as an F asset on Flare's network, right? So this is something that absolutely needs to be mentioned, right? I mean, I think I'm gonna go into even further depth with you guys. I just don't want to overwhelm everybody so early, right? Lastly, I only have 2 minutes left, so I want to talk about Quant here. Quant is, in my opinion, going to go into a supply shock, right? There's very few holders of Quant. There's only 31,000 holders of Quant. That's a very small percentage of the world. I'm sure you guys know that. I think it's about 7%. I'm going to pull the metrics up in the video for you guys so you guys can read along as I'm going through this. But there's about 7% of available tokens that's not locked up. Everything else is gone, right? So personally, if you have Quant on the exchange, right, what I'm going to be doing is taking my Quant off of the exchange and putting it into my wallet. Why? Because I want to stress the system even more. I want there to be no Quant available for anyone who needs it, right? Because then what happens? The supply and demand, the price will go up, right? The Overledger network is about to go live. The Overledger network is basically the update is about to go live. With that going live, staking is also going to go live, right? So the gateway validators on Quant, but personally, that's something that I'm going to be doing. I'm working on setting up myself as a cloud Quant gateway validator. I want to be part of that ecosystem. I want to provide. I want to help change the world. That simple, right? Basically, that supply shock is going to the price of Quant is going to go ballistic. I mean, I don't want to go too crazy, but I think at least $1,000 by the end of the year. That's not just my prediction. This is something that multiple people have come across, but there's no reason why Quant couldn't even hit 2K by the end of the year. It's only 31,000 holders. It used to be 13K. Thanks for your time. DeFi Dan, XRP Chad. See ya.